Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Chats from the Blog Cabin. You know, the show where I invite people virtually into the blog cabin to chat about life. And today we're chatting with Jason and Andrea, and we're talking about a new app that's local to the Raleigh-Durham area called Suppertime. It's basically, from what I understand, it's like the Airbnb of dining. So I can't wait to hear more about this. So welcome to the show, Jason and Andrea, and tell us a little bit about yourself before we start talking about your app.
Cool. Thanks for having us. It's really exciting to be here with you and to meet you. Yeah, so I'm Jason, and I grew up in North Carolina and been around Raleigh and Fayetteville and Campbell and mountains and love food, love the culture of North Carolina.
I'm Andrea. I'm from Raleigh, and I grew up here. My family's been here for ages, and I love Southern culture and Southern food, and it's all that I've ever known, and I love the idea of helping to preserve it in some way.
So let's talk about Suppertime. First of all, where did the idea come from? Because it's such an unusual idea.
Yeah, well, we worked together for several years, and we thought like, hey, what's the world going to be like after this whole COVID thing? And we have found where people connect over food, and like those are the best places that people connect and open up. And we were like, how can we get people eating together? So we came up with this crazy idea of what if there was an app to where you could like connect with people who were cooking in their home and show up and eat it. And we were like, dang.
We also know that the restaurant industry has sort of been wrecked by COVID, and we have friends who are talented home cooks and people who have been working in restaurants, but restaurants are closed. People who have this talent, they're making great food, and they can use this now to supplement their income. And so we were like, this would be such a great tool for people coming out of COVID when the economy is all up in the air and everybody's jobs are all up in the air. It could be a nice, steady source of income for folks.
Yeah. And like, I don't have grandparents around me. And I just like, man, I would love to go get some home cooked grandma.
Banana pudding.
Yeah, banana pudding.
Sunday supper.
Yeah.
Cooked by grandma, and like,
Yeah.
I don't know anybody. And like, what if we had a grandma on she cooked amazing food and was making good money and be like, hey, y'all come on over. I cooked some extra and it's supper time.
Yeah.
Wow. So tell us the logistics of the app. Do people just download the app and then say, oh, I feel like having dinner tonight somewhere else, and they look, or how's that work?
Yeah, so when we hope the app will be released this week, and so it'll be like grand release party of the app. And so basically the way it's going to work is you log on and it searches your area automatically. It knows where you are, and then you're just like, hey, well, what kitchens are here, and not what hosts are here in my area. And so you look and you just like, you see what they make. This is not like a restaurant to where you order on a menu. You don't pick it. It's like the menu set. Like here's what they're going to serve. It is whatever their specialty is, and you log on, you book the meal, book it, you pay for it on the app, and then the host will contact you and be like, hey, well, you're coming over for Friday. See you then. Here's the address. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's how it works. Each host has their own specialty that they're offering at the time that can change. I think a lot of hosts will have a signature meal, and you go for that experience.
Mm-hmm. Like, a lot of people think, you know what I could really go for tonight? I could go for some Greek food. But all our communities don't have like Greek restaurants. But imagine you pull up the app and here's somebody a woman who grew up in Greece.
Yeah.
Like she cooks authentic Greek food, like authentic. And you're like, I get authentic Greek food and I get to learn about her culture. And I leave with a knowledge about Greek food, about her recipes. And so this is like a learning dining experience for folks.
Yes.
I love that. So how do you go about getting your host for people to go eat?
So far, we've been doing word of mouth. We've been just contacting folks and saying, hey, do you know anybody who really loves to cook? And a lot of people have reached out to us. It's a passion of theirs. We have folks that have roots all over the world that have come to us and said, hey, you know what? I'm from Ghana and I cook amazing Ghanaian food and people love it. So I would love to be part of this. So it's a lot of just people contacting us. And then I think as more people do this, they'll talk to their friends and their friends and their friends. And a lot of people are already cooking amazing meals in their homes that people absolutely love. So why not make a buck off of it?
Yeah, we are a genuine startup. It's just us. It's on a shoestring budget. So we're hustling out there, just contacting people. Contacting culinary schools, universities, food blogs, whatever it is. We are hustling, and people are responding. So it's really exciting to see people respond to it.
Now, I know one of the concerns is security. Like, you don't just want to let anybody and everybody into your home. So I know that's going to be a big concern for a lot of these hosts as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely one of the questions that we get. And, we remind people that it was really, really weird for a stranger to get in your car, 10 years ago, and you'd like take them for a ride. And now we're like, hey, let's get an Uber, let's get a Lyft. So we definitely understand that concern, but we also think that like people, we worked with people for a long time, and people are good. I think most people are really good people. And the people that are signing up for this are people who want a genuine, great meal. They've paid for it. We have all the information on folks when you sign up for the app. Like, we get your info. The host can leave a bad review for the guest. If you're a bad guest, like, you're going to get a bad review. So there's a review process that goes into here. The host will get to confirm the guest. So if a guest signs up and they just like some reviews, I mean, like, yeah, they peed in my corner. Like, oh, sorry, you're not. I'm not confirming this guest.
We do tend to think that one of the best protections of this is just that the folks who are going to be interested in this are people who care about community and people who care about culture. And we really don't think this is going to draw very many people who aren't committed to the idea as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I love the fact that you can leave reviews, because then you can kind of, like you said, weed out who you want in your home and who you don't want in your home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was a big part of the process, for us in developing the app.
Can the guest also leave reviews about the host as well?
Absolutely. So they leave reviews, and a lot of the hosts are going to build their business on guest reviews, So just like anything else, like Yelp, like other apps like Airbnb, if you see somebody who's just got a half a star and there's 412 people who've rated them, like, you're like, I'm not staying there.
Yeah.
So the same thing goes with this.
So let's talk about the price points for these meals, because I'm assuming they range from anywhere from maybe $20 to all the way up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Like the hosts have control of their price points. So we're encouraging people to keep the price points at pretty low, around $20 to $30 here in the beginning. But as demand goes, then like capitalism is at work. And so if you get great reviews and people love your food and you're getting booked out, by all means, charge as much as you can. We were talking to a chef in Boone, a host in Boone last week, and she was like, wow, people are willing to pay a lot of money for a great, authentic, home-cooked meal when they come on vacation to Boone. So we're like, by all means, we want, we feel like part of this is to empower people to make money. And we're unashamed about that. Like, we want to preserve culture. We love food. We love connections. But this is also a business, and we hope people make a lot of money on it.
Absolutely. And I think that in the same way that now when you go to an Airbnb, a lot of times there's a lot of extras in there, and they, have a little notebook for you of like, where to shop, where to go. I think that our Suppertime hosts are going to do the same thing and enhance the experience. We were talking to that same host about, like, she could set something up on the parkway for you. So I think it's going to be I think you as a host are going to be able to enhance your experience and then charge according to how much work you're putting into it, but really give people absolutely unique, incredible dining experiences that you really cannot get anywhere else.
Yeah, cool. And like, if you are traveling, a lot of people travel for holidays now. When I grew up, you were always home for Thanksgiving, but now like people go out for Thanksgiving. They go on vacation for Thanksgiving. And like, how cool would it be if you had a host in Boone or Asheville somewhere, and you go into a cabin and they're like, hey, we're going to cook you a whole Thanksgiving spread, and you can meet here out, like, even on the parkway, I mean, maybe not in November, but like this incredible experience that you will remember, that you ate Thanksgiving with your family, home cooked in this incredible place. You will remember it forever,
Yeah.
And so like people will pay for that experience.
Sky's the limit for our hosts.
Yeah, I just love the fact that I was just going to ask you the question, and you're kind of piggybacking on what you just said about, like, if you have an event coming up or you want to do a romantic proposal and you wanted to home cook meal, someone that it's like their first meal that they ever had together or something like that, you could set that up with the host. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be in your home.
Yeah.
for them
Yeah,
to come.
absolutely. Yeah. And so we encourage people to find like third places. Some people are like, I love to cook, but my home is not really the right place. Find a third place, find a park, the picnic table that we put the coordinates in there. Here's where the meal's going to be at 7:00. Show up there. So there's so many beautiful places in our communities to do that. Like, how cool would it be? Surprise date, like you show up and in a picnic and a whole meal is right there. It's spread out and like, wow, you're going to have this romantic dinner in the park together. How cool.
I think it's going to take a lot of pressures off the guys trying to plan where they're going for Valentine's Day and what we're going to eat. They can just say, okay, we're going to do this instead.
Yeah. That's great. Yes.
Now, why did you decide to do an app and not do something like a website?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really like the sort of a mobile functionality of it is what we really wanted. We wanted for you to be like, if you were traveling and you were passing through somewhere and you're like, hey, we're going to be in such and such a place tomorrow. Let's see what dinners are available out there. So we wanted this to really be something people could take along with them. We do have plans in the future to put a website as well and connect them, like Airbnb's experience. You can go online or you can go on the app. We hope to do that too. Once this begins to create a little revenue for us and we can be able to do that.
We also were sort of responding to the culture right now, which is all app-based. And especially, right now during COVID, you get your groceries on an app, you get you order food on an app, and it's all on your phone. And so we really felt like that was where we wanted to put our energy.
Now, do you think it's possible that they become a delivery service your host to instead of cooking? Yeah, they'll cook in their home, but then they deliver it at your home?
No, probably not, because there are other services that do exactly that. So we really want, like, this is our brand. This is what we do. And there's other services, like people have wondered, hey, can we hire people to come cook in our homes for us? Like, not through Suppertime. There are already apps that you can do that. You can hire a chef for the day. So this is like, we're very narrow. This is what we're going to do. This is our lane. And we really want to be the best at this sort of dining experience that we offer.
And what we care about is community and connection and the stories. And that we don't feel like that can happen as well if you're just delivering food. It's not about the food. It's about the person and the experience. And so we really want you to go into their house, see what their life is like, hear their story in their kitchen, watch them cook their food in their kitchen. That's what's really important to us, especially after all of this isolation that we've all been through. We really want to help our communities connect to one another again.
And like, I'm an introvert, total introvert. And I'm like, do I want to go in somebody's house and eat their food? It makes me feel uncomfortable. But then, Andrea's like, we got to go.
Let's go.
And you're going with me. And so, and then once you go and get over that initial sort of like, fear, and like, it's legit. I have it too. But once you go and you meet the person and you're eating their food in their house and they're sharing a childhood story of their grandma, of why this food's important to them. Then you're like, that was the best food experience I've ever had in my life.
Absolutely. Like, I remember the times that we've been in people's houses so much more than I do a restaurant. I remember them. I remember their hospitality, their kindness, their jokes. There are many restaurant meals that I've had that I don't remember.
Wow. So you're just local to the Raleigh-Durham area right now, correct?
No, we are all across North Carolina.
Okay.
So we are a statewide thing. We started here in Raleigh because it's where we live. But we were in Boone last week recruiting hosts. We're in Charlotte this weekend recruiting hosts. We were in Wilmington a couple weeks ago recruiting hosts. And so we're all over the state. And we're starting now to expand into Tennessee and South Carolina. Those are our two next markets that we're already starting to focus on. So
with that, do you have a team besides you guys, or is it just you two?
It's just us hustling our tails off.
So how do you fit everything in? Because obviously with COVID, a lot of people don't really want to talk to people because COVID, people are still out there like, should I have strangers come in because I know the vaccine, but does the vaccine actually work and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, and this is a person that has to be okay with it, So like, we understand people are all over right now, and it is a really hard time. And we're the sort of like, hey, if you want to be this, awesome, great, use it. If you don't, like, maybe wait a couple months. So we're really flexible with people. Some hosts have contacted us and be like, I love this idea. I'm just not ready right now. And we're like, hey, we'll keep in touch with you. You let us know when we're ready, and we'll walk you through this process.
We wanted to go ahead and get the platform set up before everything was ready. Like, we wanted for those people who were okay with it to go ahead and be able to start. We were like, either this is the best timing ever or the worst timing ever. And we do think it was really good timing for us to get started on this. And as things are opening up, people can have people in their homes. And honestly, to think about it another way, it is a lot more comfortable for some people to go into someone's home to eat a meal than to a restaurant with hundreds of people around. So actually, in some ways, we're enabling folks to get out of their homes and eat good food that they didn't have to cook themselves, but not have to be in a restaurant with all of that around them.
So let's bring to the point, COVID. Did you have the idea before COVID or during COVID?
During.
So what made you decide to go ahead and just go for it and launch it?
We're crazy.
There's no time like the present, right? You gotta take a risk. You gotta put things out there. You gotta put yourself out there, and it's like take a chance. And so that's kind of what we're doing.
Has there ever been a host that says, no, I'm not interested?
Sometimes. I mean, and it's going to be about their comfort level. So I do think that as more people become hosts and sort of normalize it, those people who were maybe late adopters will come back to the table for this. It's just, we all got really used to being alone and to not being around strangers. So I think we all have to give each other a lot of grace right now. And what's comfortable for me, what's comfortable for you might not be the same.
But on the flip side is like, we're better together, and community changes us. Like, we all need community. And so we have to figure out how to navigate to do community safely in this sort of new world. But I don't think that we can kind of be in the future and like kind of live like we lived, where we're all at home, we're not having contact with anybody. Like, I knew we had to do that, right? But I don't think that's the way that really is going to make us thrive as humans. Like, we need connections, we need to laugh together, we need to meet new people, and we somehow got to figure out how do we do that safely as we move forward.
So exactly how does it work on your end? I mean, because obviously you got to make some money somehow, right? So how does it work on your end?
Yeah, so we get per person per usage, we get a fee for that. So we get a portion of the money that people pay for the gift, for the meal, and the cooks, the hosts who are cooking it. So we get about $3 or so per person per meal, which is not a lot. We want to keep our cut down, especially in the beginning, because we don't feel like that's fair to either side to charge a bunch of fees to use this service. So our basic fee, our structure, we'll make a lot of profit when this blows up. And so it's going to take a lot of usage out there for us to make a big profit. And until then, we're just going to keep grinding and keep doing what we need to do to make that possible.
We really care about giving people the opportunity to be a host and also to be a guest without too many holdups. So we're trying to make the path really, really smooth for everybody, including not charging a whole lot right now for that. So, because when you go on Airbnb and you're like, oh, this is $98 a night, and then it's like $246 a night when you actually check out. And that's really frustrating for me as a consumer. And I didn't want that to happen again. So we're just going to keep like busting our tails to spread this thing around. Yeah.
And we do offer insurance for our hosts as well. We've been able to negotiate that. So if like something were to go wrong in a host dinner, they're covered. We got them covered. As long as they're using our platform to do this meal, then they're covered by insurance. So we have costs on the backside to make this possible. So we're trying to navigate that as business people as the best way we can.
I love how you said you had insurance for the host, because obviously there are some people that may have a reaction for something that's in there and in their food or whatever. So when they go to book, will it put down any type of allergies, that things that are the ingredients in the recipes? Are they going to put it down so people can look and say, oh, I can't do that because I'm allergic to garlic, or I'm allergic to seafood? Obviously will be already in there, but like the spices and stuff.
Yeah, well, on our profile, so the user will create a profile and they can select like vegetarian, vegan. So there's some categories that they can search by, and there's some hosts that will just cook that food. And we want to not have the back and forth to where, hey, I don't want that with tomatoes on it. So could you leave the tomatoes on the side? And so that's not really our thing. This is sort of like that you go into somebody's house but there will be a messaging function. So once you book the meal, then you can message each other, and there will be, if you have any concerns, like, hey, can you leave the cheese off of that? Simple things like that. Absolutely, they'll be able to do that together.
So will you also do for health conditions? I know there's some people that are gluten-free. There are some people that are strictly no dairy, lactose intolerance and stuff like that. You'll have that all. So there's no guesswork about when you go to a restaurant, you look at a menu, you've got to figure out, okay, does this have gluten or does this have dairy in it? Or, okay, can I get this but without this, and they all, sometimes they screw up in the kitchen and they bring it to you anyways with the stuff already in it. So
Yep, that you'll be able to do a lot of that on the app. Yep, absolutely.
And as we've been talking to our hosts, they're very these people are very educated about food. These people are passionate about food. So these will be easy conversations to have with your host.
Yep.
So your host, would you say a majority of them are like chefs that just don't want to work in it, are just regular people?
Just regular folks who love to cook. And that's what we found.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Some are people who have a food background in some way. But so far, not typically chefs. These are people who are passionate about cooking at home, and that's where they've mostly done it. So they're very comfortable cooking at home, and they love to entertain. Mm-hmm.
But we have had a couple chefs and that are going to be hosts, and really interesting the way the chefs reacted to us, and they were like, what's exciting to me is I can cook whatever I want for folks. Like a chef in a restaurant, you have a menu.
Same meals
every day. And chefs are people who love to cook, experiment, make new things. They love their food so much. And so we have a couple chefs that are like, what? I love to cook this certain dish, and I'm going to look forward to cooking that for people. And I don't get to do that in the restaurant. So it's kind of cool.
So have you tried it out yourself to some of these? Have you tasted some of the chefs? That's got to be the fun part of the job, right?
It's fun.
Yeah, that's the perk of the job for sure. We go and we meet a lot of our hosts, and we film videos for them and take pictures of their space to help them through the process to put their profile up. And we share a lot on social media so people can kind of know their hosts, and really cool to see the hosts that we have. And as Andrea mentioned, we were over at Abina's house, and she lives near us, and she's from Ghana, and she was cooking Ghanaian food. And it was like, oh my gosh.
The smells in that kitchen were and what's so neat is that the ingredients were things that we can get from the grocery store.
Yeah.
These aren't weird things. Just the way she does it, the process that she goes through. She turns those regular tomatoes into the sauce that is absolutely to die for. So it's always such a learning experience. And I'm still thinking about that chicken.
It's true. It's true.
Which brings me to another thing. Can they book the same chef multiple times? Man, I can't get enough. And like you just said, Andrea, that you couldn't get enough of that chicken, book it again, have a weekly date there or a monthly or whatever.
Absolutely. You can have your favorite host and you can just go back and as much as you want to.
I wonder if we should include a move-in function button.
Yeah, you can start living there.
I'm gonna click move in.
Can I spend the night? Can you cook me breakfast?
So basically, it's just for dinner, not lunch and breakfast.
Yeah, yes. Mostly yes. The host has control of that. They can choose the time that they want. So if they wanted a brunch, you could do brunch for sure. But our focus is gonna, as we say, on Suppertime. But the host has control, so I'm sure people will start doing brunches and breakfasts. A grandma breakfast.
Yeah, bacon. A lot of our hosts too really enjoy hosting special events. So they might want to do a cheese and wine tasting or something. Some sort of special. Tonight we're doing this, or this afternoon we're doing this. So they have total control over what they do and when they do it.
Mm-hmm.
I just love that. So you said you're branching out. You're all across North Carolina. You're branching out to Tennessee. Where do you see this going? Do you see it just blowing up all over the United States and maybe international?
Yeah, we've talked about international. Like, wouldn't it be cool? Like, one of the ideas, like, right?
Yeah.
If you were going on vacation to Ireland, and or Italy, and you like, I've got the Suppertime app. Let me see if anybody's around here, and you book a grandma in Italy, in Tuscany, and you go to her house, and she's cooking you authentic. I mean, like real deal food in a real deal Italian house. Like, what an experience on your vacation.
And we've talked to folks who are in sort of like destination cities, and they say that the restaurants aren't actually that great there because they know that people will come, they won't complain, they're traveling, they'll just pay whatever and they'll eat whatever. And so I know from traveling that sometimes that is the case. They know Americans are there or whatever. So when I travel, I always want to find a little hole in the wall place or like the family owned place. And my gosh, if I had this app, that's all I would ever do is eat at somebody's house. Yep. So that was one of the original ideas was, when you travel, and especially like if you're someone like me who wants to like suck the marrow out of my whole trip, I want a real experience with someone who lives there, who has a home wherever I am. And so we really see this blowing up all over the place.
Yeah, and we hope so. By all means, blow up. Great. Everybody knows about Suppertime.
I love the sense of community that you're building as well, because like you said, people come into someone's house and they'll learn about the food. They'll learn about, maybe tell stories like you're sitting at your grandma's knee, because but a lot of people are forgetting about the stories that are about things about food.
Yeah. That's one thing you're really passionate about is continuing the stories of food culture. And especially like in North Carolina, we have incredible history of Southern food here. And there's different histories. There's Appalachian history of food in North Carolina. There is, like there's Black history in food in all over the state. There's coastal history of seafood. And that stuff, like we need to preserve that. And we're losing that as a culture because we do food transactionally. We go get it at the grocery store or we go get it at the restaurant. It's already cooked. We just eat it because it tastes good. And we need to get back to that sort of like slow cooking, sit down, hear the stories, hear people's stories, and fall in love with the food in a whole new way.
And one of my favorite things is to like figure out where people are from based on like what kind of barbecue they like, or like how do you like your hush puppies, or whatever, because we carry so much history within us with what we like, what we know, how we eat things. We don't even think about it. There's a massive story that we're telling all the time with what we choose to eat and how we choose to cook. And I think also we have sort of lost that teaching our children how to cook. My mom didn't really teach me how to cook. I had to teach myself. And so a lot of things were lost in that translation. So we want that. We know that food is not just for your body, it's for your soul. And so we want to be able to continue that tradition.
I love that. And you brought up barbecue. Are you Eastern or Western North Carolina barbecue?
Western.
Well, sorry, I'm Eastern.
That's all right. There's a place for everybody.
Because that is what I grew up with, Eastern North Carolina barbecue.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's what you grow up with. That's what you like.
Yeah, and it's like on this app, we envision people. North Carolina has incredible barbecue places all over the place. So, we've got those covered. But, if you were somewhere and like some guy who's just been cooking barbecue his whole life and is incredible at it, and he's got this incredible recipe, he just does it at his house for his friends. And you get to book that and go and experience that where like you can say, I ate barbecue over with Clyde and
in his barn,
in Goldsboro, wherever. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Like that. What an experience.
Well, I love that. Do you honestly see maybe your host, you guys losing your host because they open up their own little food truck or restaurants or something like that? Do you guys see that as a potential?
Absolutely. And by all means, do it. If we can empower people to that sort of life, then absolutely. We wish you the best. Like, go do it. And so like, we're not like here to compete with people. We want to empower people because we believe our communities are better. Like we flourish as humans when we empower, when we lift each other up, when we encourage each other. So if you use this as a platform as a catapult for yourself to create a business, Yes, we'll share that success story, and we'll point people to your food truck or wherever you are.
For sure. We're all about supporting small and local businesses that keep the flavor of each town alive. And so if one of our hosts wants to open something, we are going to be there with signs and cheering them on.
Yeah.
Wow. So it does not cost anything to use the app, correct?
Oh, well, it doesn't cost anything to download the app. Yes. Right. Once you book a dinner, like you got to pay for the dinner.
Yeah. But I was just thinking, like, there's some apps that are like in purchase, like you download it and you have it for one day, and then all of a sudden they're charging you for stuff.
No.
I'd love that. So, what do you envision for this year for it to be?
Yeah, we really hope that we just begin to take a foothold here in North Carolina, that people start talking about us. We hope it would be great to, at the end of the year, have 200 hosts across North Carolina. That would be a huge success for us if we had 200 hosts, and people are regularly using this all over the state. We know that this is going to take a little time. This is like it's like a slow cooker here. People are going to need to get used to the idea, and so we're in it for the long haul. We're going to keep working and keep recruiting hosts and pushing people into the incredible experiences.
I love that. So how many hosts do you have currently?
That's a great question. It's an ever evolving number. There's just sort of scattered all over the place. I'm not even sure.
25, 30. Yeah, right now. And that's all across the state that we have. And we haven't even launched yet, like officially. So these are folks that are like, we're ready to go. Like when you say go, we are ready to go. So,
and even though we haven't launched, we have had many test dinners. So we're already doing this thing, and it's working, and people love it.
So let's talk about the test dinners, because I'm wondering how that logistic. Obviously, you two are part of the test dinners, right?
Well, sometimes
we arrange them.
Yeah. And so we basically we're using social media right now, and we put that out into our social media, like, hey, there's a test dinner on Friday. If you want it, book it here. Just make a comment, and it's yours.
It's yours, yeah.
And then we hook people up, old fashioned email, texting. It's a little bit cumbersome now because we don't have the app, but it works. And so we put people together, and then we show up, we take a little video, and then we leave. And it's their dinner.
Let the dinner happen.
And then we've been following up, give us feedback. What are the reviews? What would you do? How would you tweak this experience? And all the reviews have been like
so positive.
This is amazing. I can't wait to do this over and over and over.
I mean, I think for one dinner, like we encourage our guests to stay for about an hour because we don't want to overload the host. But I think one dinner they stayed for like 4 hours and just talked and had fun, and they made new friends. Yeah. And that's what all this is about.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I can't even imagine going into a stranger's house, like the introverts, like you were just talking about. Going into.
I'll go with you.
So tell us the name of the app again.
Yep, it's Suppertime app. And so you can log onto our website, suppertimeapp.com, and you can find us there and all the information. We will hopefully at the end of the week our app will be live, and so we'll be up on the App Store, up on the Google Play Store. And then you can find us there. You can download it and start looking around.
And you can always email us too. Jason at suppertimeapp.com, Andrea at suppertimeapp.com. If you have any questions, if you want sort of inside scoop information, I can put you on our list. We encourage that for sure.
Yeah. So like us, on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, and follow the story. And you can be on as we tell people, you can be on the ground floor of Suppertime. If this does blow up one day, you'll be like, kids, I remember when Suppertime was just getting started.
Oh, no, their first hosts.
That is so funny. Honestly, I think this is such a unique idea. Has anybody else ever thought of that type of idea?
Now, that's a great question. Back in 2010, 2012, there were some apps that were similar to this, where you could book like chef dinners at chefs' homes. There was one but nothing like this. So this is kind of a unique idea that we've come up with, and I think the thing that makes it so unique is it's really Southern, and even when it expands out of the South, it's still going to be Suppertime. We grew up. My grandma was like, hey, "It's Suppertime. Come get some food." Yeah. So this is a really kind of a Southern a Southern company.
I think the goal of the other apps have been about the food, and our goal is about the experience and community. So we just have a different focus, and we think that this is what the world needs right now.
Yes, so true, because we're so used to being alone that some of us aren't venturing out. So maybe it takes off a little bit of pressure, and you're not going into a restaurant and trying to figure out what you're going to order on the menu and everything else, and just go to someone's house to have a more personal experience. I love that.
Yep.
So our time is almost up. Is there one last nugget that you guys want to share?
One last nugget. I think of like this, we hope that people will have the best experiences of their life in this process. And that's really our goal. Our hope, our dream is that people have incredible food experiences, that they meet new people, that they build community. Like people like, this is a dining experience. We don't call this a dinner. This is a dining experience where you're gonna become friends with your hosts, and so we hope people will really give it a chance because we think it could. I mean, we think it could really make a difference in the world around us.
Wow, I love that. So I want to thank you both for coming on and sharing about Suppertime. I can't wait to hear about how it blows up, and in 1 year I want you guys to come back, or
all
even
right, we'll do it.
Less than a year. Come back and tell me how you guys are doing, because I think this is a great idea, and I cannot wait to see what happens in not only North Carolina, but all over the world.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. And thanks for having us today. It was great to meet you and chat with you.
Thank you.
So guys, we will see you on the next chat from the blog.